back to my channel. Today I will be reviewing Room by Emma Donoghue. Room is an adult literary novel narrated by 5-year-old Jack in the room that he and his mother are held captive in, which is the only world that Jack has ever known, as he was born in Room and has little to no knowledge of the outside world. I would first like to begin by talking a little bit about what I liked about this novel. I really enjoyed Jack as a narrator. I was initially very skeptical going into this book because I knew that it dealt with a very difficult and horrific subject matter, but somehow Jack as a narrator, as a young child, him not knowing how horrific his situation was, somehow lightened the tone of the novel, and also in certain places made everything a little bit more terrifying in my opinion. In addition, I really enjoyed Jack's views on the world. When I say the world, I mean specifically Room. Because Jack was born into Room and he knows nothing else, he does not view Room as a prison. He views it as his home. He loves Room. I also really enjoyed the relationship between Ma and Jack in the book. Because at times Jack was her only companion in Room, their relationship was very unique. Also, by the way that she spoke to Jack and conversed with Jack, she very much viewed him as a friend, or maybe friend is the wrong word, but a close companion. She confided in Jack, and their relationship was a very unique one and a very beautiful one. Another thing that I really loved about the novel was the ingenuity of Ma. She really took everything that she had, which was not very much, and made the most of it for Jack. She made sure that he had regular physical activity. She made sure he was never bored. She made sure that he was always reading and learning about new things in very unique and very innovative ways. She was doing everything that she could to make sure he grew up as well adjusted as she could despite their situation, which I thought was very inspiring, and it makes me think about other mothers who are in less than ideal circumstances with children, not necessarily held in captivity, but mothers in extreme poverty, or mothers bringing up their children in war zones. The ingenuity and the determination of a mother who loves her child is something that I find completely awe-inspiring, and I think was very well highlighted in this novel. I enjoyed the hopeful tone of this novel, which may surprise you because this novel details some pretty horrific events, and their situation as a whole is pretty horrific, but I think specifically because Jack is the narrator and because he does not know for the majority of the novel that he and his mother are held captive, the tone of the novel is very hopeful. I enjoyed the emotion that this novel evoked for me, which was not all terror and disgust. I felt love for these characters. I felt a very strong connection to these characters. I feared for their lives in many parts of the books, and it evoked emotion for me very strongly. I just really wanted them to be safe, and the way that Ma loved Jack and Jack loved Ma really made the reader love both of them because of how strongly they loved one another. Moving on to what I did not like about this novel, and I really racked my brain on this one, and I can't think of a single thing that I did not enjoy about this novel. I mean, of course, there were some of the more tension-filled uh, scenes in the novel, or the character of Old Nick, who I absolutely hated. However, I was supposed to feel those things, and you were supposed to hate Old Nick, who is their captor, by the way, in case I did not mention that in the beginning of the novel. But there was nothing about the writing, the way the book was written. I thought it was written beautifully. There were no large mistakes, at least that I could point out. So, is there anything that I don't like about this novel? No. I gave this novel 5 stars. While the subjects of the book and a lot of the things that this novel dealt with were very hard to read at times, I loved everything about this novel. I loved the writing. I loved the narration from Jack. I loved the characters that I was supposed to love. I hated the characters I was supposed to hate. I could find no flaws with this novel. This is one of my new favorites, and while it's not a novel that I will probably reread very frequently because at times it is very hard to read, it is one that I will reread, and I'm sure that I will enjoy each time. Would I recommend this book? Yes. However, there's a bit of a caveat with that. I want to say that for any very, very young readers, I would not recommend that they read this book due to the subject matter. I would not recommend this book to people who are very squeamish. I would not recommend this book to anyone who might potentially be triggered by rape or abuse, physical or emotional. And I would not recommend this novel to anyone who has no interest or who might have a very difficult time reading about a book that deals with such horrific subject matter in parts of the novel. There are parts of this novel that are very hard to get through. And if you would be a person who is anyway sensitive to that or in any way turned off by that, I would not recommend you read this. I recommend that you skip it if this would trigger you in any way. And I think that that's all I have to say. I just want to repeat that I really enjoyed this novel. It was a beautifully, beautifully written novel and very hopeful. I know that sounds really weird, but it had such a hopeful tone to me. I loved Jack. I loved Jack so much. He was a wonderful narrator, and I loved Ma because of how much she loved Jack. And I think that we are at the end of my review. I want to thank you for watching and to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want to see more from me. And as always, peace, love, and happy reading. Bye, guys.